Postal was an isometric top-down shooter originally released for the PC in 1997, featuring a guy who had just been laid off from his job going on a gun rampage around his neighbourhood. After 2 sequels, memorably featuring a dwarf from an American sitcom and the ability to urinate over passers-by from a first-person perspective, developers Running with Scissors have decided to revisit their roots with a remake of the game that started it all. Personally, we can't wait to see how the oversensitive petals working in the games industry today handle Postal Redux when it's released for the PC, Mac and Linux in the late spring, and then later in the year for the PlayStation 4. So we caught up with Running with Scissors project manager, producer and developer John Merchant at EGX Res to find out what to expect from the return of gaming's original bad boy. Apologies for the sound in this interview, but our microphone was very nearly defeated by the excessive background noise in the room.
How would you describe Postal Redux to someone who's got no experience of the Postal series at all?
Okay, well, at its core, it's just a twin-stick shooter, an action game, and it's a bit of a psychological horror as well. You get diary entries and various art screens at the beginning of each level, giving you an insight of what is currently going on. Of what's currently going on inside the dude's mind. The Postal dude is the main character of the game. Yes, it's based on the phrase "going postal," which was because of the post office shootings. That's now become basically a saying in the more so in the US. You don't really hear it in the UK.
Not so much. Releasing for spring, is that correct?
Yes, we're releasing late spring, so late April, early May, that kind of time.
Okay,
that's for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, and then in the summer it will be coming to PlayStation 4 as well.
PlayStation 4 in the summer. Any plans for other formats? The Xbone, Vita, Wii U?
The Xbox, we hope so. Probably not the Wii U or the Vita at this point.
The single player of aspects of Postal Redux, is that a straight port or is it expanded at all?
Well, we've got a new mode. We've got the classic mode, which is very much following the template set by Postal 1 originally. And then we've got a rampage mode, which is more of a multiplayer score time attack type game, which is similar to Hotline Miami, where you build up your score multipliers depending on killing people in quick succession. That's just more for the modern game.
Right, so like an arcade.
Yes, exactly. And there's going to be music, and it's going to be very high adrenaline, whereas the classic original is going to follow the original template, which is a bit more tactical.
Are you bringing the multiplayer across on the original?
Absolutely. We're going to be bringing in the co-op mode for at least 2 players, maybe more. This probably won't be done in time for release, or it might be we're playing it by ear, depending on how much progress we make. But there's also going to be a deathmatch mode, and then maybe even more, depending on what fans ask for.
Okay, so that'll be patching after. Will that be paid DLC or?
No, this will be free. This will be completely free.
Okay, and you mentioned the co-op mode. Will that be online and local?
It'll definitely be online, and we're hoping for local as well, especially for the PlayStation 4.
What made you bring back Postal at this particular time?
A few things, really. One was the 20th anniversary of the game, which is next year, so we figured it would be nice to revamp an old game from modern gaming machines. And it's just something I've always personally wanted to do, because I've always really liked the art style of Postal 1, the hand-drawn art with 3D models laid on top of it, and we just thought it looked really nice in 3D, so we did a few concepts of it, about a year and a half ago, and I was just like, yes, we need to make this game, and yeah, we're really pleased with how it's turned out.
What was it that particularly attracted you to Unreal Engine 4, which I believe is the underlying engine that you've used?
Well, we just love Unreal. We love the Unreal Engine. We think it's fantastic. We used it for Postal 2. We've recently made some DLC for Postal 2 as well, for ParallaxLive. This was on Unreal 2, mind, but I mean, it was a fantastic engine then, and of course Unreal 4 is it's just mind-blowing. I mean, we wouldn't use any other engine at this point for any game.
Now, I had a look on Metacritic for the original game. The original was obviously quite divisive when it came to the critics, the violence being the most obvious polarizer. Are you making any attempt to water down the game, or are you going to double down on pleasing that existing fan base?
We're just keeping it faithful. I mean, at the time it was revolutionary, the violence depicted. Whereas now, quite honestly, it's fairly quaint. I mean, you look at Postal compared to a modern Call of Duty game or Grand Theft Auto game, it really isn't that controversial at all. But the stigma sticks with you, so yeah. No, we have changed a few things, but not so much to tone down the violence, just because we wanted to take a couple of story elements into a new direction, and there is a new ending as well.
Have you made any changes to the core mechanics of the gameplay?
Yes, the controls specifically were, to be quite honest, terrible in Postal 1. They were tank controls. You had to spin around to shoot them from the direction you're in. Whereas it's now full twin stick shooter, like you'd expect in the place.
The games industry is in a bit of a strange place at the moment in terms of turning against games that sort of don't fit into a conceived notion of what's acceptable to a particular part of the media. I mean, Hatred was a recent example, which was temporarily thrown off of Steam. I believe it's still banned from.
That was actually based. That was inspired by Postal 1. That was the.
Yeah, very similar.
It was almost like a spiritual successor. They like to refer to it as, which is flattering. And
I felt that Hatred kind of missed the point.
Yeah, it was good for what it was, but it's obviously a lot darker than even the original Postal, and it was really good for the controversial side of things, which is kind of what we did 20 years ago, but not what we're trying to do now.
No, but do you worry that bringing back Postal could provoke a backlash from certain perpetually offended parts of the industry, such as the media?
Not really. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the gaming media, they have these agendas, which is fine. That's their sites. They've obviously got a reader base to go with that, but we have our fans, and Postal 2 has sold over 1 million copies on Steam at this point. It's got, I think it's a 94% positive user rating. I mean, there's a market for these games, and that's fine.
Now, with Postal 2, you really amped up the black humour. Are you going to be adding any extra levels of satire to the original Postal, or is it just literally adding?
No, well, because it's a remake, we wanted to keep it faithful. We wanted to improve the gameplay and the core mechanics, such as the controls and the presentation. We wanted to keep the basic feel the same, so not a lot has changed in that regard. I mean, it is really quite faithful, apart from the ending, which we did change.
Oh, you changed the ending?
We did change the ending, yes. In-house decision to change the ending. I won't give any clues as to what it is, but
okay,
it's a significant
teaser there. A significant change to the ending.
Significant change, yes.
You heard it here first, or maybe not first.
Second, possibly.
What was the game or moments that ignited your passion for gaming?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been into games ever since I could pick up a joypad, or a joystick, should we say, back in my day.
Yeah.
My first gaming console was an Atari 2600, which I played a lot, and then I moved on to the Commodore 64, the Amiga, and I've just always loved games, and I still do. Yeah. Whenever I'm not making games, I'm playing them. Yeah.
A lot of people who make them actually say it almost spoils games.
Not at all. No, not for me. It increases it because I play other games and I think, how could we introduce these kind of mechanics? Or it gives me ideas. It's
a new appreciation.
Absolutely, yes.
If you could only play one other game, not including any of your own, for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
That is a good question. It would be an open world sandbox type game along the lines of Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row, purely because there's so much to do and there's so many variables to that. It can also be a different experience depending on how you play it. So if there's one desert island game, it would be that kind of game. Maybe Grand Theft Auto 5 for safe now.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck with Postal Redux.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.